Hello, my name is Andre, and this is episode 5 of what I am calling the Chronicles of Reality. And in this episode, I am going to address what I called five dimensional chess. So, within five dimensional chess, there are multiple layers, and I've addressed several of these so far. So, that would be starting with the voices that I'm hearing outside of my body around me. Then we go into the tactile hallucinations that I experience. Uh, and then we'll go to the mental aspect of that I explained was a plane of my mind where I see representations of my thoughts in the form of images. And each of these images have a feeling that go along with them. Like I can look at the image and feel something from it, and I can sort of tap into what I was feeling at the time. Yeah, whether it was an actual event or something that I manifested or just thought of myself. Then the next layer is the metaphysical body. That's an overlay of our body that exists in reality. So I'm going to add another layer. Actually, technically two sides of this. So the next layer is going to be the layer where my inner voice is. So the layer that my inner voice is on is one that at the time was a little more complex than it is now for me. Right now, I'm working with a mind that that I will eventually get into, but for now, I had a mind that worked like this. So I had an underlining train of thought that could be speaking about anything and everything, but that then there's the primary layer of thought, primary line of thought, or train of thought that existed for me. So I could be watching one of my favorite animes, One Piece, at the time, and then see the main character, Luffy, do something that makes me think of something for my book, Legend Breakers. And that will then lead me to one of my trains of thought that existed. So at any time I had the underlying thought, the primary train of thought, and at least four other trains of thoughts that existed at the same time. So since I'm watching anime, I could be thinking of Legend Breakers and thinking about a character there, and then I could be thinking of another. I could be thinking of maybe uh, rock climbing that I used to do in my younger years. Then I could be thinking of Norse mythology in this one. Then I can go over to what I did last Sunday. Last Sunday with my family or anything like that. So all those can be going at once, and each of those have a voice attached to them. But at the time, before my schizophrenic break, it was a normal thing for me to have these voices in my head because they all follow my train of thought. No, my primary train of thought or my underlying train of thought. They're all sort of associated with each other. They may all be speaking by themselves, but they all are associated and rooted to a base thought that I had, or a notion, or some sort of stimulus that I'm aware of. So now I have. So now that sort of leaves me with what I started to experience. Uh, the, I found that the voices started to address things or say things that I did not cue myself. I did not think myself. I know that I know for a fact that that should not have been said in the first place. So eventually, one of these trains of thoughts went renegade and started to just say whatever they wanted to say. They started to say a lot of different things, and then because a lot of different things as if they were me, as if they were the primary voice. And then when I really was able to focus and address that voice, then that voice started to, instead of trying to speak like they were me and speak like they were the primary voice or primary train of thought, they just went on and did their own thing and tried to speak as if they were speaking almost for me or as me. Almost a combination of both. Not just as me, but for me. But this is a voice that would lie, or a voice that would, a voice that would lie when things, or lie, or take underlining thoughts and run with them. So, example of each one. A lie, for example. I might be fighting with the entity Kaido on a subject. Then the renegade voice might say something in relation to that subject as if they were myself. And then Kaido would respond as if I said it in the first place. But that's not what I said. I never said that. So now I have to address the renegade voice and Kaido at the same time. So that became a hassle because a renegade voice started to become really sensitive, we'll say, and pull from a bunch of different things that I maybe think before maybe my final thought or primary thought, maybe. Because before I get to the primary thoughts, I run through a bunch of other things before that, or the primary train of thought. So, but for me, because I'm so cranial, I think of all these different possibilities when it comes to everything. So I know I'm looking at a red light that you can't really see, but I may see this red light and think of I may see this red light and think of maybe a dream, a real dream that I had, where I was stuck, where I had a security job, a security guard job, before I even became a security guard, and ended up in this red room, this red room with red lights, and in that room, it was like a sensation. There was this sensation, almost this strong, violent vibration throughout my entire body and around my body that disabilitated me, that messed me up, and I couldn't move at all. Because something like that is so close to reality with what I was experiencing, I may think of that thought, but then my main thought that leads to, that I then address and speak myself, would be maybe I may think of, I need to get a new light bulb, or I need to go and do some sort of shopping related to that light bulb, or something around my house. But what triggered was maybe that light bulb, and then maybe that initial thought. Even though the primary thing that I say would be the task of going to the store, what is pulled by the renegade voice is the dream. And then they'll say something addressing that dream, like, he feels he feels this, this, and this, or I can vibrate the atmosphere around me. That type of thing. So the problem where that the problem that arises is that these entities using the frequencies that I explained previously can actually make that a reality as far as it goes for me. So I can then so these particular entities over time begin to interact with my body in like crowds and in clusters, and that sort of leads to a experience that I'll explain in the next episode. For in the close to close out this episode, I just want to thank everybody for watching thus far. I'll end everything here. That is overall the description of five-dimensional chess and the overall five-dimensional chess. There is one layer that I will explain in greater depth, but that is going to actually be associated with the next thing. So the next episode. So I'll cover those two subjects in the next one. So thank you again for watching. Again, please comment, ask any questions that you feel. I am open to whatever questions about my experiences that you may have in the future. I'm going to be using those questions for a later video. So, again, thank you, and until next time.